watched this video before, so let's see what he's got going on.
Web designers, UI designers, listen up. 2024 has arrived, and you don't want to show up looking like 2023 because that would be so last year. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my predictions for the 10 design trends that I see coming up in 2024. The first trend that has been very popular in 2023, it's going to continue into 2024, is the trend of dimensionality and layering. When I say dimensionality and layering, I mean layering elements on top of elements. It could be
yeah, so he's talking a lot about, like, yes, there's this layering here. I think he'll address to some of the aspect of like Z indexing, so that's kind of a big thing. Talking about having like an actual depth to your platform, making sure that things feel like there is sort of like, oh, this is the front stage of actions, this is the backstage, making sure things have drop shadow, making sure things have like blurs and edges and streams, you know, just things along those nature. I'm curious if he'll talk on that.
Text on top of images. It could be images on top of text. It could be shapes on top of anything. It's just this scattered element scrapbook style that brings a lot of interest. And the reason that this dimensionality is so interesting is because it brings a little bit of life to your designs, and we're starting to get away from that desire of everything on the web and inside of your interface looking really, really flat. And so start getting used to this artistically placed scattered element dimensionality, because it's going to bring that life to your projects in 2024. The next trend that really popped off in 2023, it's going to continue growing, is the usage of 3D elements in every single thing that we do. Why? Because
okay, I don't like the 3D elements in a lot of things. I think if it's placed well, it works and really nicely. Like this, it's the one object. There's motion to it. It looks good. But there are a lot of people that take it to the cartoonish degree and then they just fucking put it everywhere, and it's so distracting. You really have to think about like information hierarchy. You really have to think about like what is important to a user, what is key critical, what are they trying to do on this web page. If they're trying to look at this big fucking graphic, then sure, that works. But if they're not, if they're trying to get to what the form or the text or whatever the hell they're trying to do, just let them get to it. There's no point. There's no point in making this really pretty thing if it's going to distract them for the fucking purpose of being there.
It offers these moments of cool interactivity, of storytelling, and the tools have now become incredibly cheap, easy to use, and accessible for everybody. So the technology...
See, look at this. Again, this is minimal. It's not invasive, not overly distracting. It's still relying heavily on like contrast and whatnot to show these answers and whatnot. This is good. This is still very minimalistic, not overblown. That's the big thing with these 3D design elements, is keep it small, keep it simple.
Is cheaper, it's more available, it's easy to use. There's tools like Spline and Adobe Dimension and all these other tools out.
I really don't like the overlay like this. I know that he was talking about that with that first one, with the layering and the dimensional aspect of it. It's distracting. To me, accessibility is very important. Accessibility is really just making sure that the website is approachable and accessible for people that have like poor vision, or the people that are colorblind, or maybe are dyslexic and whatnot, so they have to interpret these words differently. The layering and dimensionality, especially with this graphic image right here, it really fucks with people like that, and so it makes it not great, not a big fan of that.
They're making it available not to 3D specialists, but to normal old web design and UI design Joes like you and me. And so we're going to continue to see the use of 3D in not just splash screens and singular moments, but across entire applications because of that cool interactivity that it offers. The next trend that we're going to see a lot of this coming year is the trend of complex animations. When I mean complex animations, I don't mean things moving left, right, or up or down. I mean scroll animations, scroll hijacking, entrance.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think people nowadays, or people in 2024, this is something that we saw really like pop off during 2024, and I think it was for the better. I think this was a really good thing that we saw happen. We saw a lot of this like movement really develop. You like, let me go back. You saw like what he was talking about here.
Right or up or down. I mean scroll animations.
So you saw when I swiped down and you had the background change at the same time, and things started to shrink and sort of grow. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of like texture to this, and it feels good. People like that. It's a really like almost like tactile response that people get from that, and that really shined in 2024, and something that I personally am really excited to see transfer over into 2025 and beyond. I think that's just going to be a sort of a standard practice from now on, is having a lot of movement, having your page almost breathe and feel like sort of alive at the same time, not distracting, again, not anything too over the top, but have that movement, have that life to it. I think that'd be great.
Hijacking, entrance, parallax, and more than that. We can even see animations using the cursor. Things
That's
are
cool.
really, really interactive now, and they're going to continue
great. Love
to
it.
be interactive because, again, of the interest that it brings, because of the ease of use of it. You can see just elements moving everywhere. Just, it makes even the most serious website or interface just that much more fun. It just hits of dopamine. And I think one of the real kind of like
that's it. He nailed it right there. That hit of dopamine. That's really what, especially in like people nowadays, our attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And so if it's not constantly like grabbing your attention and keeping you focused, at the very least going, hey, this is what you're supposed to be focusing on, at least this page, like you need to be focused here, people tend to wander, people tend to click off, people tend to look away. That's just human nature in this. And so yeah, no, he's 100% right. It's all about giving you that little dopamine kick. It is that little bit of crack every little time you look at the page.
Reasons behind this trend is because of tools like GSAP and Rive that are making the ability to create all of these animations again.
Rive is great.
Very, very seamless, very, very easy to do, and very easy to integrate in any project that you're working on, whether it's a native app, web application, website, software, whatever it is. You can work these animations in. They're very low weight, they don't cost a whole lot, and they are really, really awesome. A trend that I am very excited about is the departure away from neutral, calm, kind of boring color palettes and the move into vibrant colors, vibrant gradients.
Now, this didn't happen as big as we would have liked. We saw a continuation of the mass migration towards the boring, and I admit it, the very accessibility compliant formatting of colors and text. It's all very, serif, maybe there's a sans serif, but it's boring. It's a very plain, straightforward, that's clearly what that letter is, boring serif font, and it's very grays, neutral tones, flat tones, matte colorings, not a very whole lot of like neons or bright oranges. There was a couple of things that had a nice little pop of splash and whatnot, but everything sort of got gray, got bland. This one didn't really come to fruition as much, I will say. This one was a little bit of a swing and a miss.
Used pretty much everywhere. With the reintroduction or the acceptance of styles like brutalism,
marketing
neo-brutalism,
works.
We're going to see really, really cool use of color that is just a lot more playful and a lot more fun. You're going to see gradients being mixed around with texture.
Gradients were really popular. I'll give it to them on that one. Gradients were fuck off popular, and in my opinion, for no fucking reason. They didn't need to be that popular. I think a gradient works. Oh my god, that fucking all right, OBS. I think gradients were interesting. Gradients were useful for what they did, but it was marketing. It was marketing fluff 99% of the time. It didn't make the product or experience that much better. It just made it feel more professionally done, and sometimes that's all you need, especially when you're new and we're creating a product that might not have the feature set that a lot of users want. You might want to just say fuck it and throw on a pretty gradient and make people believe that it's way more of a finished product than it actually is. It's just sometimes you gotta fucking fake it till you make it and make people think that it's already at that point, and so you can get to that point. And that's just how a lot of the stuff works. A lot of the stuff we see. Look at the gaming industry. The gaming industry 100% of the time nowadays sends out broken versions of the games. they market it as if it's a well finished and well pretty and polished game, and so you kind of play it as if it is, and then there's a bunch of patches and shit that come out that don't actually they fix issues. They're just putting in the elements of the shit of the games that you wanted in the first place. They're just making those features actually usable at that point. They're not fixing anything. They're just putting it in. The same thing with software design. Same thing with these gradients and whatnot. They're giving you a pretty gradient color background to make it look nice, but it's done back end. It's just nothing there. But it works.
The whole thing is going to feel fresh and fun. And I mean, from website to mobile application, we're going to see stuff like this everywhere. Why? Because again, I think that 2024 is going to be the year of fun. It's going to be the departure from boring, serious corporate stuff. And we're going to start moving into interactive, fun, colorful, and vibrant experiences on the web and in mobile devices. 2023 was the year where AI artwork really exploded, but it was a bit rough around the edges. And with the advancements of the tools in this last year, moving into 2024, we are going to see a huge explosion with AI artwork, AI imagery. Again,
we're going to see so much more of this in 2025. It's gonna be a obsessively ridiculous, unnecessary amount of AI in 2025. It's gonna be so fucking stupid, the amount of unnecessary bullshit AI that gets tossed into marketing schlicks, features, into new products, into random workshops that people are going to have to run around how to use things like generative AI tools. And like, we're going to have a bunch of teams that are going to spin up their own internal AI thing. It's going to be fucking miserable. I hate it. Ugh, gross. And it's going to be equally that level of bullshit. Look at Coke. Coke just, let me see if I can find this real quick. Let me see if I can pull. We just have a lot more AI in our future.
Because now it is way more possible to find assets and visual things that can help fit the needs of any project. So we're going to say goodbye to stock imagery, and we're going to say hello to really cool, customized, dialed in AI imagery. And again, some of my favorite tools to do that is going to be things like Midjourney. Pretty soon we're going to be able to prompt directly in the tool, no longer using things like Discord, Adobe Express, aka Adobe Firefly, and all of their AI technology and abilities is going to be amazing. And
it's
so
great.
Get
it's
really,
useful.
really
I won't
used
lie.
to prompting.
It's
Increase
useful.
that prompting skill of yours so you get the types of assets that you absolutely need for your projects. 2024 is also going to be the year where some of the trends that we've been playing with for the past few years that have been maybe optional, they've been fringe, or maybe they've been nice to haves, are all of a sudden going to become mandatory. And one of those mandatories is the trend of dark mode. It has arrived.
Yes and no. It has to be done, but it has to be done really accessibility compliant. Black is not dark mode. Really dark gray, or even a lighter dark gray, works nicely. Black is not accessibility compliant as a background color. It's too dark. It's too dark. You gotta do something else.
It is a thing. It's no longer an afterthought or a nice to have. We have to really start committing to understanding how wonderful dark modes can be. A lot of these websites and mobile or native applications support both light and dark, and a lot of them even allow you to toggle back and forth between light and dark mode.
It's got to be done.
That wasn't enough. They also have to have some sort of automatic logic to them that knows, hey, if it's the daytime, give us the light mode. If it's nighttime, give us the dark mode, or just tune into whatever the native device's setting is. Dark mode is here, and it's here to stay. So if you don't know how to use varying degrees of black and dark colors to brand them and tone them a little bit, you better get used to it, because this trend is a big one. Now, I wouldn't say that Apple invented our next trend that we're going to talk about, but they did have a huge influence on design as a whole, and that next trend is the Bento Grid. You can see here Apple started to become very well known for these Bento Grids. Microsoft did a lot of this as well in the Surface.
This wasn't as popular as I thought it was going to be in 2024. Genuinely thought this was going to be way more popular. It just wasn't. Like, it really just wasn't that popular. Like I don't know, like you would think, honestly, you would think that it would be a little bit more useful because you could see the utilitarian aspect of it really well. Like you get like, oh no, like this makes sense because you can actually space and organize things in like a nice manner. Things can actually be done like things can be contained and structured nicely, but it really, like, people just didn't use it. That's what it came down to. People just really didn't use it ultimately at the end of the day. Like, kind of sucked.
Design back in the day, but they've really become popularized now. And the reason that Bento grids are so great is because they offer this.
I will say this. A lot of my saying like people just aren't using this, I'm talking about it from the perspective of like enterprise, big commercialized companies. These kinds of things that you're seeing behind me right now are very popular all over the internet, from like Squarespace shit and like little like people's personal websites, small businesses, that kinds of things, because they're fucking easy to templatize. You can make one of these templates in Figma in fucking 10 seconds. It's rectangles with rounded edges. They're not hard to do. And so you gotta like here, you know, fuck it, where are we? You have a bento box, you can do whatever you want with it. It's quite literally that easy to spin these things up and containerize them. That's why they should have been way more popular. I fully agree. They should have been utilized a lot more. They just weren't. I don't know why. They just weren't.
Sense of organization, uniformity. They feel really modern. We can kind of encapsulate different elements. The whole thing just works together. They're especially fun when they offer some interactivity like this. Bentos can be done for the web, for mobile devices, for native software. They're just a really fun, simple,
they work nicely.
Easy
they
to
work well
use
with apps.
Design style that is great.
This is apps use them. This is the one area that I will say apps really took over for this. They work fantastic with apps because they make good buttons. Look at these. Each one of these is a button, and that you can just make that entire container a button, and it works really nicely on mobile because it's really fucking easy to program. But I genuinely don't know why it didn't take off more
for any project that you're working on. So definitely maybe keep this in your peripherals because the bento's coming for you. All right, listen up. A lot of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but this next trend that's coming in 2024 is all of our faults, and that is the trend of morphism. Notice I didn't say skew morphism or new morphism or glass morphism. It's all of the above, and the reason it's making a return is because we are tired. We've overused the flat, modern, sleek design. We are now looking for textures, real-world applications, things that make it feel tangible. So if that's glass, fine. If that's shadow, fine. If that's texture,
I wish this took off. I wanted this so bad. I wanted this so desperately. I fucking love skeuomorphism. I hate flat design. I hate it with a passion. It's so boring. It's so fucking boring. It's so ridiculously goddamn boring. It's so lame. I cannot overstate that enough. It's so non-tactile. It's so stagnant. It's just not. You can't get any life out of that. It's just purely utilitarian, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Where is the experience? You can be practical. You could be utilitarian. You can be focused and deliver a living, fun, experiential product. Doesn't got to be, one. It doesn't have to be at the same time. It doesn't have to be like segmented, whatever.
Fine, but guess what? Morphism in general is going to make a comeback, and it's not going to happen for entire interfaces, but it's just going to be small little moments of joy and dopamine hits. So if you are uncomfortable designing in that morphism way, get comfortable with it because it's here to stay. The next
I want more of it in 2025. I want more of it in 2025.
trend has been a trend for a while, and I think it's going to keep being a trend because it's It's really, really interesting and really fun, and that is massive typography. Massive typography used on the web is going to be here to stay. Massive typography in web applications, interesting things done, offset.
I will say, this definitely took over. This was huge. This was everywhere, even across enterprise products. The hero landing page, that main, so like whenever you come to a website and it's a like 2/3 of the main web page, it's just a big banner with like text on it or an image or whatnot. It's super popular, stayed really popular. Square, you could think Squarespace, you know, all those other temple websites for stuff like that. This big text is a byproduct of it. Yeah, he nailed it.
Off-screen typography, it's going to be happening as well inside of mobile applications. This doesn't look as massive, but I promise you, in context of the screen real estate we're working with on mobile, a lot of this is way larger than it ever used to be. And again, because it's going to be the year of fun, of experimentation, of doing things that kind of bust out of the seams a little bit with a little bit more playfulness. So get ready to really amp up those type sizes in 2024. The last trend on the list is less of a design trend and more of a tool trend, but that's going to be the continued trend of using no-code tools to build out our websites and our applications. Why? Because no-code tools are awesome. You can use Webflow right now, which...
This is true. This Webflow, it absolutely dominated 2024. It fucking dog walked every other one in its competition. It got taken over for enterprise products, for personal websites, for small businesses, large businesses. Fortune 500 companies used it, law firms used it, tech, everybody used Webflow, and it's not going away. It's gonna keep going off in 2025, 2026, unless they fuck it up. Like it's here to stay. If you don't know how to use it yet, you should watch some tutorial videos on it. It's great. It's comprehensive. You have to learn a bit of coding. It is not a like Squarespace tool where you can just pick it up and start fucking slamming with it. Regardless of what he says, he's gonna tell you that it's an awesome, easy one for you to use. And maybe, sure, but there is a learning gap to this tool. But once you get it, you can really run away with it. You can really do a hell of a lot with it.
Really made some game-changing moves in 2023. They introduced variables and applications and logic and all sorts of amazing things. This is not just for building websites anymore. It's for building anything and everything that you want to. Framer made a huge splash in 2023.
Framer's really good for personal websites. Really, I recommend it for small people. I used it for my portfolio for a little while. It's really well done. It provides a lot. What its big thing is, what makes Framer really fucking nice is Framer actually allows you to take their animations and use them. You can take the code and put it into your own product. So you could use them. You could use just the animations available from Framer in your toolkit. We're using it right now on a project that I'm working on. It's great. It makes life infinitely easier because now it's not just a like design tool, it's a library for you to pull from as well. So it's nice. It's worth it. They definitely pumped a lot into it. Definitely recommend it.
With their AI website creation. It's a tool that feels like Figma, makes responsive websites really, really fast. And a lot of those advanced features like CMS and all that kind of stuff has started to roll out, and it's pretty stinking good. And last on the list is Wix Studio. They are a platform.
Not as popular. Not Webflow and Framer. I like Webflow up here, Framer down here, but still second place, and then fucking subterranean roughly is Wix. It's popular, but I'm telling you, it just didn't cut it.
That's allowing you as an agency, somebody who wants to do a lot of different client work with drag and drop interface. You don't know how to code anymore. You just need to have a vision. And that leads me to my final thoughts about these design trends, as well as everything that's going to happen in 2024 and beyond. If I could boil it down to two words, those two words would be less friction. I think from here on out, there's going to be less friction for creators who don't necessarily have a technical skill of 3D animation or code, but they do have a concept. They do have an idea.
this is, yeah, but this is a byproduct still. We're seeing the ramifications of the UX hype that happened during the pandemic. Coming out of 2020 and whatnot, there was such a massive hype around being able to get into the tech space without needing to know how to code. And so a lot of people were kind of, I hate to say this because I kind of came in at the like early stages of that, if you want to say that at all. A lot of people got into the space that really didn't know what they were getting into, in the sense that it's not, UX design is not graphic design. It is not, I'm gonna make this look really pretty and that's the extent of what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna make it look nice. That's not it. UX design is, I'm gonna make this really fucking fun to use. I'm gonna make this shit an awesome experience. It's gonna look good and it's gonna be fun to use at the same time. It can't be one or the other. It's gotta be both. And so if you get into the space and you really are focused on that like pretty aspect of it, and I hate to boil it down to that, but that's really what I noticed a lot of it is, it's really like, but I can make really pretty websites. That's fine. But if the developers can't code them and I can't figure out where the fuck to go, the fuck is the point? The fuck is the point? There's no reason. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so these no code, low code, whatever, Wix, Framer, Webflow, these tools that came out of that are a byproduct of everybody that didn't know how to code and doesn't know how to code, but still wants to be able to make a career off of creating very pretty websites. And so yeah, you can make some gorgeous fucking things off it that do work. Technically they do work and it's fine, and you can sell them, you can get away with it. A lot of people make a very good living, a very good career off that, and deservedly so. But this is a byproduct of a like, cool, you're going around the step of like, we're going to develop this, we're going to test this, it's going to go through several phases of code testing, and then we're going to push it through a trial run of like, we're going to get beta users on this, we're going to get that feedback back, and then we're going to go through another iteration round of this, and going through the extensive multi-round process of how is this working, how is this performing, and then let's build upon that. This is I'm building a product for its purpose, that purpose is done, it's out there, it's living on there, I'll revisit it to update it to potentially change some contents of that, but functionally you're not really doing expansive work beyond it. Framer and whatnot's a little bit different. You have the like library aspect of it. Webflow a little bit different as well, because they're starting to get out of that space and getting into more enterprise, like actual like SaaS products and stuff like that. But it's still, these are a byproduct of that wave, that craze.
I think from here on out, the friction to actually create that, to manifest it, to make it come to life is going to be much, much less, therefore making it so much more enjoyable and easier. And I'm excited about that. I think if you have a vision, you have an idea, that there should be less things to stand in your way. And so what do you think about all these design?
Interesting. Not bad. Yeah, I agree with some of his points. Some of the things did come true. He nailed some things that did come true. A lot of things that didn't come true, though, I wish he had nailed. I wish those things had happened. The morphism design, I wish that had come in more so. It didn't. It really didn't. But overall, not bad. Not bad.